Am I the asshole for how I handled an accusation of parking in customer parking as a non-customer? Today I, 31-year-old woman, bought a piece of art in for framing to the local framers. I live in a smallish town. I have been a customer of them for years, doing much framing with them. I paint myself, but I also enjoy art, especially since the pandemic, and like to get pieces framed. I have gotten many items framed with them. I parked in customer parking. I spent quite a bit of money with them that day, around $100. The woman recognized me and gave me a regular customer discount. It was also not busy at all, with several car spaces open. Following paying, I didn't move my car straight away. I saw on my step counter I needed to get a few more steps in, so I walked to the main section of town and grabbed some food before heading back to the car and leaving. I was backing my car out and a man approached my car as I was backing out. I did not recognize him. He started saying I wasn't allowed to park there. He was quite hostile. I told him I was a customer, and continued to back out in order to leave. He started trying to get me to stop and try to stop me leaving. This made me uncomfortable. I told him to get away from me. He was saying, hold on. I told him to get the F away from me. I exited the premises but could see him in my rear view mirror. I want to be clear, there were several parking spaces open. When I got home I called the framer and told her a hostile man was bothering me outside her store. She said it was her husband. She said he misinterpreted the situation and thought I was a non-customer parked in customer parking. She defended him, saying that he wouldn't have approached me rudely, and I escalated the situation too quickly, insinuating her husband was targeted by me because he was a white man. I told her that her husband had not even asked me if I was a customer but immediately started throwing around accusations. I told her I had told him I was a customer, but that still did not seem good enough for him and he was trying to stop me leaving before I swore at him. I did think it was likely he had profiled me because my car is not very nice, but I did not say this. I also said I wanted my money back and my art back. When I said this, she seemed upset and wanted me to reconsider. I said I was feeling upset about what happened and would think on it. I ran into my mom in the driveway and asked her to pick up my art and get my money back. She did this quickly and said the woman seemed flustered and a bit surprised and upset. I think she had thought I would go ahead with them, but I was upset she had defended him. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. If it was a busy parking lot or it was full that day, that's one thing. It sounds like you went for a short walk. Not a big deal. The second the man tried to prevent you from leaving is when the situation took a turn. You were justified in yelling and swearing. I would have done the same. I also wouldn't spend money at that business ever again. The wife should have apologized and left it at that. But she wanted to defend her husband instead of keeping a customer. She chose her husband, and in turn you chose not to do business with her anymore. Actions have consequences. Not the asshole. It's one thing to ask politely if you're a customer, but when a random guy starts blocking your car and getting hostile without even checking, that's a whole new level of unnecessary. You weren't just parking, you were trying to escape a parking lot interrogation. If they didn't want the drama, maybe they should have taught their husband how to ask questions like a human being. Not the asshole. Being an ass, only to discover it's someone who gave you money for a service and try to walk it back, that's the dick move. True colors were shown. That shop owner should have been falling over herself apologizing when you called upset. While I can see from her perspective that maybe she would think her husband wasn't really in the wrong and that op over-escalated, she is a fool for trying to defend him to an angry customer who was nearly false imprisoned in her parking lot. Especially a loyal repeat customer. The white man stuff just brings it even more over the top. Clear not the asshole. That lady has dogshit customer service, and it's so funny that she was shocked that insulting and intimidation of a customer cost her loyal business. Not the asshole. I'm sure she's flustered and upset because her husband's behavior, and her support of it, just cost her some business, and possibly one or two good customers. I'm not sure how much business a framing shop does, but I can imagine that losing even one job would probably hurt, let alone one or two steady customers. Why would him being a white man cause you to escalate the situation? Weird. Am I the asshole because I left my cousin's house and then her boyfriend left her? I was visiting family for Thanksgiving. My cousin insisted that I stay at her house. The whole time I was there she was having her teenage kids do multiple tasks for her. Not really a big deal, teaches them core vol lessons. Well, after Thanksgiving the teenagers were out with friends etc. And the younger kids were back. She's screaming at her boyfriend, think they have been together 6 years and have a 1-year-old together, to come get the baby. That she needs a break. Not a biggie. He hasn't sat down for a minute and she starts screaming and cussing. Why hasn't he washed the dishes? He normal voice says, I'm taking care of the baby. More screaming and cussing. I tell him I'll entertain the child and she gets mad about that. Think this happened the night before. I came back after visiting other family and he was on the couch with the baby and she was doing something in the kitchen. We were just talking about different states and ECT. He's an over-the-road truck driver and was home after being out 6 weeks. She yells for him to come in the kitchen. I went to get a drink and he was sitting on a step stool while holding the baby. I jokingly asked was he grounded and my cousin said if I'm stuck in the kitchen he can be in here too. He can at least show me some support. Around 9 p.m. her son texts and said that he was spending the night again because it was so late and his ride didn't feel like taking him home. He was with family of the boyfriend and they had worked a college football game. She tells him to go get her son. He said why can't he just stay another night? More cussing and screaming. He left to go get the child. She grabbed the baby and went to her bedroom. I gathered my stuff and left and went to my dad's house. I forgot that my watch was charging so I had to go back to get it. Found out he took his son and left that morning and she says it's my fault. She has me blocked on social media, but my niece saying all kind of fucked up stuff. Life is too short for drama. And for clarification I am not interested in her BF, my kid is older than him. Not the asshole. Your cousin is unhappy and she's taking that misery out on everyone else. All you did was remove yourself from a hostile environment. Honestly, your cousin sounds completely overwhelmed, which has translated into outbursts of anger, some of which was directed at you because you happened to be in the blast zone. Teenage kids plus a baby plus a boyfriend that spends a lot of time away equals she's doing everything and is frustrated. But that isn't your problem. Unfortunately, that's the life she's living right now. You just happened to be there for a hot minute of it. At any rate, she lashed out at you. Obviously her boyfriend leaving had nothing to do with you. Not the asshole. You're kidding, right? Obviously you had nothing to do with the boyfriend leaving her. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your cousin is absolutely awful to her boyfriend and kids. Treating them like servants. They all deserve better and kudos to boyfriend for finally leaving. There's no way this is all on you. Boyfriend was probably embarrassed and finally had enough. Not the asshole. You just witnessed your cousin abusing her partner. I understand being overwhelmed and wanting help. Being with a long-haul trucker is hard and not for everyone. But that does not give her the right to verbally abuse him. Ever. You were probably the first person she felt comfortable abusing him in front of and he likely had his light bulb moment out of mortification. Not the asshole. She's got some personal issues that she needs to deal with either through therapy or some serious self-introspection. Am I the asshole? My roommate asked me not to use the oven. I am currently living in Spain with 2 other girls, one Spanish and the other Ecuadorian. I am only using their nationalities as a way to distinguish them. Anyway, the Spanish roommate has been nitpicky since we first moved in, but I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. For example, she started a cleaning schedule, to which I have not problem with, but then sent a passive-aggressive text to our group chat about how the kitchen wasn't cleaned correctly even though my other roommate had done a good, not perfect, job cleaning it. She knew this and still said, well, I can help you if you want because there is dust on the stove. The rag we use leaves debris, causing it to look slightly dusty, but she knows this, whatever. Anyway, tonight, I was using the oven for exactly 10 minutes to cook veggie chicken patties and she comes to my room telling me that the oven uses a lot of electricity and not to use it for small things. This felt like my last straw, but I had to live with her. BTWI said I'd pay extra if the monthly bill is outrageous. I have several ways of comparing the prices and many friends who live in the city who also have roommates. I will continue to use the oven whenever I want but pay for it if necessary. Does this make me the asshole? I might be the asshole if I keep using it in spite of her asking me not to. Edit. We moved in November 1st, we have not gotten the utility bills. We're just roommates, she is not the landlord. I have used the oven 4 times for no longer than 20 minutes each time. I do use a hot water bottle for heat every night using boiled water because we don't use the heat often, 2x only, each time at her suggestion. I move out in April 2025 so buying an air fryer doesn't make sense. Update. Asked my landlord for November's bill this morning. I used the oven 2x in November for approx 17 minutes. And the bill was €20.37, €6.79 per person. Lol. Not the asshole. And she comes to my room telling me that the oven uses a lot of electricity and not to use it for small things. Does she have any actual power? Are you subleasing from her? Does she own the place, etc.? Because if not, she's just going to continue bossing you around until explain simply, you are not my boss, my parent, or landlord. I have the right to use these things I paid for, you have no say otherwise. Leave me alone. Fellas, are you an asshole if you, checks notes, cook food at your own home? Not the asshole. I know energy prices are a little higher in Europe but you still have to eat lol. Not the asshole. She cannot expect you not to eat. You have helped by offering to pay the overage. It will be hard to compare since she has no idea the cost to heat up food. But still you did nothing wrong. Do they not use the oven? This person is on a weird power trip. It's not expensive to use an oven and you used it for a perfectly legitimate reason. Not the asshole. It's true that in Spain some people have an obsession about how expensive it is to use the oven, and your roommate's family was probably like this, and that's what she has heard her whole life. Would it be possible for the three of you to buy an air fryer for the apartment so that you don't have to use the oven for small things? No thanks, I will continue to use, but I'd appreciate if you didn't show or use the toilet because it uses a lot of water. Am I the asshole for taking the graduation trip away from my middle school daughter? I have a 13-year-old daughter, almost 14, who is in 8th grade. School let us know about the graduation trip which she really wants to go to, but we have been dealing with some behavioral issues. I told her she needs to behave before I would sign her up. A few days went by and I told her it wasn't enough time yet. I needed to see more. She was afraid the trip would be filled up and she would be too late. So I agreed to sign her up for the time being, but I told her I would withdraw her if more issues arise. She agreed. The type of issues we had up until this point was: 1. She was failing on her chores on a daily basis. Her chore list is very short. The only daily item is keeping her room clean. Then the weekly item of taking the trash out. 2. She was secretly texting an ex-boyfriend who didn't treat her well. 3. When she was caught, she tried to get her younger sister to lie and cover for her. 4. Her younger sister, who came clean, told me I needed to protect her because she was scared how her older sister was going to punish her. After I signed her up, I told her that she needed to do everything as we say. We are not strict parents, so I don't think it's unreasonable. School's Thanksgiving dinner rolls around. We all went. As soon as she got her food, she tried to leave the table to go hang out with a friend, female. Her dad, my ex, told her to stay for at least a little while. She never asked me or my husband for permission to leave. Soon after she left, and I thought it would just be a brief moment. An hour went by and she's not answering our texts or calls. My husband and I spent the next 40 minutes looking for her. Couldn't find her. Finally she answered a call from my ex. She was outside apparently, still with the same friend. That's when I decided we are taking her out of the trip. She is distraught. Am I the asshole here? You're not strict but has to ask for permission to leave the table? Have you had a discussion about lacking in chores? She's 13, she is still learning, and I can tell you now, anytime you say don't talk to XYZ, don't hang out with XYZ, that's exactly what she's going to do. What other behavioral issues are you having that is not normal 13 years old behavior? I can tell you now, you're stricter than you say you are. You are the asshole. She doesn't have behavioral issues. This is normal stuff for a 13-year-old. You have seriously misjudged your strictness if she has to ask permission to leave the table. The punishment here is wildly disjointed from the crime. I feel bad for this kid. I think it's a slight. You are the asshole. I think do everything we say is a very broad catch-all, and doesn't get her necessarily associating every single word you say with the trip at all times. If you narrowed it down to say, the list you just provided, that would be much simpler and straightforward to follow. In your story above, you are mad at her for something that wasn't on the list of 4 examples you just gave. It's hard to punish someone for gray area things that make you upset, especially if you're not giving clearly defined rules. If one of the things you told her she has to do was eat dinner together with the family, then again you could easily point to that. I think you would be the asshole if you cancel her trip. The punishment should fit the crime. Seems like she's only done little things, but you're taking away a huge trip that she'll only get to do once. Her phone should have been taken away for the texting thing, and grounding for not doing chores. You are the asshole. None of these things sound like major issues. So she was outside with a friend? Just talking? How horrible. Seriously, she's 14. Time to relax a bit and let her start finding herself, which includes letting her make mistakes on dating. Daughter doesn't sound all that bad. Do you want her to be perfect? I think you are being a bit unfair. Soft, you are the asshole.